on you. When I look in your eyes and you seem so sad, back with yourself, I'll send you straight to hell. Better get away if you know what's good for you. See you tonight. Whoa, I'm gonna turn my back on you. You walk on the edge of the thin line. When you walk and you talk, and I've seen it all before. You walk on the edge, walk on the edge. As you sit and you think of yourself with all the problems on your mind, and you think to yourself it can only get bad. Look at the edge, your eyes only seeing red. Better get away if you know what's good for you. See you tonight. Whoa, I'm gonna turn my back on you. You walk on the edge of a thin line. You walk and you talk, and I've seen it all before. You walk on the edge, walk on the edge. And when I look into your arms,
Walk on the Edge. Megatron gets it right again. This guy knows everything. He probably knows my iTunes playlist. Ride on Resurrect. Shout out to Brandon Trueblood, number 1, Stephen, Arizona. This is going to be a fun night. Paul Schmecker. Good to see you, Paul. Hope your dog's doing good. Pedro's back. Mysterio from Winnipeg. John Boston, the legendary John Boston. Radical Rafter. Let's see what we got here. Will Aerosmith extend their... Of course, they're all about the money. I was in Vegas for the last 3 days, and I went to Maestro, however you want to call it. And I'm talking to the bartender. Got there about 5, me and my coworker. And I'm talking to the bartender, and I said, hey, what celebrities have come in here? And Steven Tyler was one of them. I think he was there a couple weeks ago or a month ago, and he was telling us how cool he was. Tool was there, Maynard from Tool. All these, rappers were there, sports guys, Clinton, De Niro, Wacko De Niro, and interesting. But Steven Tyler, I wanted to bring that up. Well, let's get into it. SasQUATCH, Phoenix Lights, the Paranormal, and MK Ultra. No, this is not Coast to Coast. This is Rad to Coast. We're going to get into it. When I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. My dad always talked about Bigfoot. Apparently in the Pacific Northwest, between, let's say, Sacramento and Seattle, we have a lot of forests, right? The Oregon Trail, a lot of dense forest. That Bigfoot was always a big part of my life. My dad believed in Bigfoot. In fact, when we would go camping, we talk about Bigfoot around the fireplace the campfire. And that was something that for us was always fascinating. I remember seeing that film that they filmed where he's walking, the 60s film. And apparently some say it's legit, some say it's not legit. But I remember seeing that and always believing. And I still believe in SasQUATCH. I believe SasQUATCH has been in every culture in different forms. I think in Florida, in the South, he's the swamp monster. He's the abominable snowman. In other places, they have actually cave drawings of a Sasquatch-like figure in Egypt. So I believe that SasQUATCH is real. And this is my thoughts on SasQUATCH. Good to see you, One Mighty and Strong. SasQUATCH, to me, is an interdimensional figure or creature. That's why when people try to take pictures and things like that, it's always blurry or something because interdimensionally, and I think it goes back to the days of Adam and Eve. I really do. I think Sasquatch has been around. You can't have multiple cultures in multiple languages talking about this Sasquatch-like creatures. What say ye? Don't quit, persevere. Paranormal for 300 Trebek. No, this isn't Art Bell, but we respect Art Bell. I think Sasquatch was predominantly in Canada. Megatron. Actually, Canada has a lot of Sasquatch ability because of probably the mountainous pine, a lot of pine trees, especially in the Pacific Northwest, where there's been quite a few sightings and visitations. What say ye about where's the body, Radical Rafter? Remember that guy, 10, 12 years ago? He said he made this huge press conference and he put like this fake body, but it had like beaver fur and all sorts of weird fur in it. All he wanted was attention. But there's always going to be hooligans that do that, right? Shinobi Juan, our brother from down under, good to see you. Brandon Trueblood says, we hunted for the Honey Island swamp monster at the MGTOW meetup. I think Rusty Rivers in the dark could be basically characterized as the swamp monster with his long hair. Good to see you. Mysteria says, you say that Sasquatch travels between dimensions. How do you think a Sasquatch travels that way through the trees? I think that it's an interdimensional creature. That's my belief. I could be wrong. Again, no body has ever been recovered. Sounds have been acquired. Visuals and sightings seem to be consistent within the 7 continents of this ape-like creature. But how does he get through the trees? No idea. Most likely is in a 4th dimension, is able to go through a lot of different possibilities. But that's what brings the possibility. Here's the thing, and this has something to do with Red Pill, because the possibility of a Sasquatch means it's multiple. There's multiple possibilities and probabilities. Just like our lives has multiple possibilities and probabilities. We're not limited to this one dimension, right? Trogue says, I worked in the BC Canada forest for most of my career. No Sasquatch. Sorry, bros. I don't think they're ever going to be found. I just think they can jump between dimensions. Think you're onto something. Bigfoot would have to be a shapeshifter or interventional, or someone would have shot one by now. People have had bad encounters, said they could smell them. There's been multiple encounters of people, well said, Stephen, that have talked about this. I want to believe in it. And I think that there is a possibility, and most likely the probability, that there is an ape-like creature that exists. Call me crazy, call me whatever, but I have always believed that. Could be the fact that it was programmed in me with my father and my brothers, but it just seems apparent with all the different cultures that have talked about an ape-like creature. They've given it different names, the Yeti, and so forth. Turd Ferguson, good to see you, Rad. I grew up on the coast to coast. There you go, brother. George Norrie and Art Bell, when I drove over the road, I listened to it every night. Art Bell, rest in peace, with a good dude. Harry and the Hendersons, there you go. Making a movie about Bigfoot. Interdimensional is the trending theory about UFOs and demons. A lot of people say that UFOs today are living amongst us. I don't think that UFOs are little gray people. I think they're literally, did anybody see V back in the 80s with Diana, and underneath their human-like existence was a reptile? I believe that the most powerful people and celebrities might be unidentified UFO or aliens. Let's call them. UFO is an unidentified flying object. Turd says UFOs and owls are a thing. Dude, owls are crazy, man. They are smart birds. Radical Raptor, interesting you said that. I was watching David Pilates tonight about the 411 missing. I watched a bunch of those shows a couple years ago. Very fascinating. They're talking about the Loch Ness Monster moving between dimensions as well. I mean, that's a possibility. How can you have, Trogue, over 200 years sightings. And they seem to all, from different people, different cultures that live around the Loch Ness, talk about it. I don't know. It could be a bunch of bullshit or it could be real. Most mysterious creatures are the government playing dress-up games while they abduct people. You might not be wrong, Shinobi. George Knapp was great till they kicked him out. There you go, brother. JR's in the house. Good to see you. Pedro says Bigfoot does exist. I know because I was married to her for 25 years. See, we got it. We got it. Similife, hopefully I said it right. Yes, 4011 is great. David Pilatus is great. You know, he doesn't give his opinion. He just gives facts. All those missing people. One theory is people are the invaders of planet Earth and Sasquatch are the original inhabitant. Think about this. Well said. My name is Mud. Good to have you back. If there is a creature as intelligent that can shapeshift or interdimensionally transfer between dimensions, he'd be able to evade anybody if he's been around since the day of time or his clan. I dated a woman that was an extra on V, Small World. Do you guys remember V? Oh my gosh. And they'd eat rats as their sustenance. Like in the movie, They Live. They do, Paul. No Bigfoot encounters for me, but the northern part of Arizona that I live is famous for UFOs. The Phoenix Lights, 1997. Have you guys seen the Phoenix Lights? Let's get in the Phoenix Lights. What did the government say? They were flares. Are you kidding me? You can see YouTube visuals right now of the Phoenix Light. That doesn't look like flares. They're perfectly aligned. Right? Reptilian says, JR, reptile dysfunction is real. Could be. This man was raped by Bigfoot. Sasquatch are not to be trusted. I think some of those Sasquatch are basically banished Sasquatch from the tribe because they were knuckleheads. And so they're on Earth trying to torment us. And so the guys have to come, the higher ups have to come down and bring them back to reality. UFOs are probably high technology vehicles being tested by government agencies. Well said. Shout out to Polska. Polska says, I've seen a UFO twice, once with my brother-in-law and nephew, then years later with my brother. Was the same thing, both times orange ball and night, no sound. I stood there for a minute. Well, they can run on an extreme amount of quantum physics technology. They don't need, they're anti-gravity, right? The Bionic Man had a fight with a Bigfoot once and then befriended Bigfoot after. That sounds like my book I'm going to write. Polska says, took off at an incredible speed. Well, the technology that exists for UFOs is the technology thousands of years ahead from now, where gravity doesn't really have to exist. So I would agree with that statement, Polska. The original V was good, but the reboot was disappointing. Well said, brother. Remember Diana? And they would go to that jar of rats. They were white rats, and eat them like nobody's business. I've seen War of the Worlds. There you go. Check out the lights in the sky. The Phoenix Lights, guys. If somebody looks at that and says those are weather balloons or flares, no. That's been talked about quite a bit. And in fact, it's actually gone out of the lexicon for a while. If there's another dimension beyond ours, what do you think it's like there? I think it defies all laws. I think time travel is real. I mean, quantum physics has proven time travel with small particles. I was listening to Coast to Coast with Art Bell. There was a guy that apparently in the 70s was in a project where he went and saw the assassination of Lincoln. He's a lawyer today, very well respected, writes books, talks a lot of things about certain events that have happened during his time travel experiences. If there's another dimension, we must protect it from feminism. Attaboy, Shinobi. 99% of what people think are UFOs are advanced drones and aircraft. I worked in the Area 51 for a long time, and we would get warnings when aircraft. I think the government, and I think Stephen knows this, but I think the government has technology that's so far advanced, we wouldn't even know how to classify it. Could the government really confirm UFOs? What would the world do? That's a great question, Mysterio. I've talked to a couple pilots And I like to talk to pilots just because, what do they see up there when they're flying, that bus of people? Have they seen any funky things? And again, 35,000 feet, 7 miles up. It's basically right on the cusp of outer space. So what have they seen? One guy told me, one pilot for Delta said he saw lights that he'd never seen before over the Pacific. Now, over the Pacific, there's no civilization, there's no cities, there's no light poles, there's no electricity. And he said he saw lights that were not of this world. And I guarantee he wasn't stoned or drunk because they can't do that. Turd Ferguson, the O'Hare UFO is weird as well. I remember hearing about that. Look up Victor Schauberger and his magnetic repulsions. Those were the original Foo Fighters spotted during World War II. Interesting. I will check that out, Paul. Thanks for the tip. Children of Men is a great dystopia film with the last pregnant woman on Earth as a good red pill flick, says Jar. The Phoenix Lights look like military chaff and flares. Okay, so Brandon thinks potentially could be a military potential. And that's not out of the realm of possibilities, but for me, it looks something out of this world. But you never know what's going on. The government, let's get into this. MK Ultra. What did Charles Manson say? That the CIA fried his brain? Did people understand what MK Ultra was about and what has transpired with that technology or with that programming of people, making them do things that have no idea what they did, but they did them? And it's still going on today, if you think about it. Didn't you share an interview of a guy who got blank assaulted by a Bigfoot? I mean, I think a lot of the Bigfoots that appear and like scare people are more like knucklehead Bigfoots that got kicked out of their tribes. I think the original Bigfoot, they're off doing their own thing. They're in their own interdimension, like Planet of the Apes or something. My dad once told me, now that you know the truth, what are you going to do about it? You still have to work in the morning. That sounds like what the monks learned when they realized a mountain wasn't a mountain. And then they went back and they said a mountain is a mountain because we have to live in this dimension, right? Could lights not of this world be lightning? I don't think so, Mysterio. You guys got to go YouTube Phoenix Lights 1997, and you tell me. Go watch it right now while you are listening. You can put it. You don't even have to put it on volume. Just watch them light up. I saw a bunch of illegal aliens jump out of Cutlass trucks. Well, aliens do exist. Humans ones as well. The videos I seen was a massive light triangle that was miles wide. So, Steve in Arizona, what do you think they were? I know you have experience with, certain technologies. What do you think they were? Brandon thinks they're flares. I've seen lights far off in the sky move at speed so fast, make crazy turns, shooting off at odd angles. Anyone driven Nevada at night? There's a shit ton of UFO sightings. I never saw one, but I did drive from Fallon, Nevada, which is outside Reno. It's a military base. I stay with my buddy, but I drove from 1 a.m. to Salt Lake all night, and the stars were beautiful. But I'm telling you, there was an eerie world driving that I-80. And that I-80 is known for multiple kidnappings, random disappearances, what have you. La Migra, run. There you go. There's Radical. Okay, there's the stream with Brandon. Awesome. Brandon deals with aliens every night. The what do they call them? What's the gal that knocks on the trucker's door? They call them something. Hood rats? No, something else. The same doctor that was behind MK Ultra also experimented tortured Ted Krasinski at Harvard. I did not know that, Paul. Justin's back in the house. Good to see you. Interdimensional are perfectly suited for blank. There you go, brother. Aliens and demons exist. 100% watch what you say. You are never alone. I was listening to an Art Bell where they said the more you talk about them, the more you invite them into your presence. I don't think you're wrong, brother. Hammer is having an art auction. Good for him. He's got some good stuff. Lot lizards. That's it, guys. There's the Phoenix Lights. Guys, go take a look at it. All you guys said the same thing. Turd, Brandon, and Trogue, lot lizard. Similife said the same thing. So did Justin. But think about it. The paranormal is something that gets me excited about life because I think we're not alone. And I don't think we're alone on this planet or interdimensional planets or interplanetary, cosmos. I think there's things out there that we don't know. Now, we could talk about the moon landings and the conspiracy of the moon landings and what happened. But we're not going to talk about that. We could talk about the dark side of the moon. Did we see something on the dark side of the moon that said we're not going ever back? Because it is not something we want to see. What about Antarctica? What about the pilot in the 40s that crashed his plane? The hell is his name? And was taken into an interdimensional world where they fixed his plane and he came out of it. My dad told me about this when I was 10 years old. Oh, what the hell was his name? Admiral Byrd. Admiral Byrd crashed his plane, landed somewhere in the Antarctic, below the Earth, found this civilization that was so far advanced, they fixed his plane, nursed him back to health, and then got him back out into reality. They tried to go back and find it. They couldn't find it. Steven says, having worked with advanced military sensors and drones for 18 years, I once believed aliens were possible, but now have a very religious outlook and lean towards demonic or interdimensional means. They say a lot of the aliens more are demonic now. Well said, Stephen. Hennick is back. Punyeti. I wonder what actually, there was a movie that came out. I saw at Sundance this year in January. SasQUATCH Sunrise, about 4 Sasquatches. You guys should check it out. It's very odd. Arctic lights during winter. I've seen the Arctic lights in Alaska. The northern lights are amazing. I just looked at the Phoenix Lights. They could be drones with some sort of lens flare. Okay, so Mysterio, sounds like you and Brandon are on the same page, but they look very sus. I heart the 90s. Funny you guys say about the lot lizards. I had 2 Vietnamese hookers try to hook up with me on Monday night in Vegas at the Cosmopolitan. I'm like, nah, you guys are whacked. Rad, what's your take on ghosts? I believe they're real. I believe our energy is neither created nor destroyed, so our vessel might leave this earth, but our energy doesn't. I've actually had an experience in the Ben Lomond Hotel, one of the famous hotels in Ogden, Utah. That whole street is haunted. Ghost hunters did a thing about it. And I was in the hotel. I actually stayed on my birthday night, the first birthday divorced. I stayed there, and I guarantee that closet was shaking like nobody's business. So I told the ghost, come out and show your face. Quit trying to be scary. I mean, that's old. I mean, get a new technique. Don't try to scare people anymore. Get a new technique. You guys all do the same thing. And then it quit. Operation High Jump in Antarctica, says Paul. What about Planet Cola? That's Cola. That's where Jesus lives. Shit. What's up? Got done boxing. Father in the house and weight training. Attaboy. We're waiting for you, Father. The Chinese moon probe just landed, sampled dark sides of the moon today. And what did they find? SasQUATCH Sunrise sounds like a drink, Turd Ferguson. It's actually a show. I saw it at Sundance, and people were clapping. You guys got to go watch it. There you go. Love you long time. What else we got? Phoenix Lights were 96, long before civilian commercial drones. I just think they're sus, man. They just seem too out of this world. Ghost shadow people are aliens. Extraterrestrials can be interdimensional travelers, but it's anyone's guess. What about this? The guy that got to Japan said he was from they stopped him, and his passport said he was from this weird country that no one ever knew what it was. So they locked him in a hotel room, and the next day they went and he was gone. 1952, I believe it happened. They say resonance is key. Why do we lack the ability? Perhaps they took our tech last age ago, so we don't heal and grow old. Poison world is now what we have. One errors before we had more. Interesting, Shinobi. Good comment. There There you go. Paul, let's see. Mouth, good to see you, brother. JW in the house, good to see you. But this is a fun deal where we can talk about these things. I love that stuff. I love science fiction. I love Twilight Zone. I love thinking outside the box because there's more to our technology, our consciousness than we will ever know. They're doing the whole the collider to find the God particle. They're crashing fucking electrons to find out how the Big Bang and the God particle. What's the damn collider called? You see the Netflix documentaries called something like the SasQUATCH murders, and a string of dead and mangled people found in the woods, and turned out it was the cartel killing people. I did see that. Wasn't that in Pacific Northwest? Gone with John's back in the house. Good to see you, brother. Paul, I think it started with a T. George Norrie's done a thing about it. There's been a bunch of people that have done it. I'll do a show about that. The SasQUATCH Festival. I'm telling you, why is the SasQUATCH Tartaria? Might be that, guys. CJ, good to see you. Making an appearance. Father, the Hadron Collider. Attaboy. There you go. I think Father, he hangs out with SasQUATCH every night when he goes live. But think about it. They're trying to crush, technology, Tesla could light up a wireless light bulb in 1906 in the damn friggin' desert in a field, pulling electricity out of the field. When was the last time you saw a wireless light that's not attached to solar? But yet he burned all that crap. Results oriented. Good to see you, brother. My kind of stream. Under big cities, there's another. Under that, another. Why did they not dig below the 2,000-year mark? Mike speaks. I don't know. Slam Cave is back. Good to see Slam. My job got hacked and has no computer service. Supplies 15,000. Damn, bro. Who hacked it? The Ruskies or the Chinese? I don't think SasQUATCH would fit in my basement. Could you imagine like a knucklehead SasQUATCH? I'm going to write a book, guys. It's going to be a great book. It's about me riding my mountain bike, and I go off this jump and I crash, and the SasQUATCH nurses me back to health. But he's a knucklehead SasQUATCH. He's whacked. He's got ADHD. He's been kicked out and banished. He wants to be a human. It's going to be fun. And I'll write it in Mexico. SasQUATCH murders about the Emerald Triangle in California. Yes, Humboldt. Wasn't it about the pot, the herb? I saw that. Have you heard that Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon fits in perfectly with the Wizard of Oz if you turn off the wizard's sound? Oh, that's interesting. I did not know that, Mysterio. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. The boys are back in town. But I think there's paranormals. I really believe that. If our energy is neither created nor destroyed, it's like a coffee cup. The coffee cup would be the body. The coffee would be our spirit. If the coffee cup falls off the table, breaks into 15 pieces, the coffee doesn't break. It assumes a different form. So I believe that apparitions and ghosts might be held in this dimension because they don't want to leave it. They want to be around loved ones, and they just get caught up with other ghosts or apparitions and energies. But those that see the light, that they want to go towards the light with all these near-death experiences, they don't want to be back on Earth. But I think there's apparitions and there's people that have left this Earth that still want to be here in some form or fashion. Maybe it's the comfort. Good theory about the Large Hadron Collider causing interdimensional bleed over and why we experience the Mandela effect. That's right. The Mandela effect is crazy. But there's truth to all this. There's interesting. Then you get into the government, the MK Ultras, the Philadelphia experiment. I listened to a guy that said he was involved in it. That they literally transported a Navy destroyer into a different dimension. Then Lizzie would be good. Start the album at the last line, Roar, I believe. Start Dark Side of the Moon, When the Lion Roars for the Third Roar. There you go. Remember listening to Thin Lizzy and Pink Floyd back in high school. I loved it. I hear they put a chicken in the Large Hadron Collider and it made your universe gay. Potentially. CERN is all kind of evil symbols. The collider is trying to bring something wicked to us. Yes. They're still trying. They're still trying. They potentially could open up some vast, evil, dark world. Stanley Alan Meyer, who allegedly he created the water-powered car and quickly died, is pretty interesting and scary. Well, 2 men in black showed up. There's another thing. The men in black show up in old cars and old outfits, hats. They like have no lips. They're very pale. They speak robotically. There's been no possibility of violence with the men in black, but apparently Stanley Meyer went out pretty quick after he was visited. JR says, I think when we pass, our energy or residuals stay behind. I do believe that stuff. Sure. I'm a big believer in we live multiple lives. Now, I'm not going to say I'm coming back as an owl or a speed bump. I'll come back as a human, a male, and I'll have to live the life and learn from the last life. If I didn't learn a specific lesson last life, I'm going to have to repeat it. That's why they say forgiveness is so important. Creepy Robsta, what has caused us to move into a clown world? That's a good conspiracy to solve. Programming, brother. Good to see you. Pink Floyd is very out there. I always made of demons, Satan, even God sometimes in the past, but demonic foes. My 25 years as a psychiatrist investigating possessions, diabolic attacks, and the paranormal. I don't know anymore, says Betty. We'd love to have your experience, Betty. I think the name Mandela Effect is a Mandela Effect. Yeah, well said, Bookshelf. Well said. There's things that make us not believe based on the belief that there is. Go figure. Results, leave them particles alone. We don't need no education. We aliens initially thought your Large Hadron Collider was extoy. Flanders, how dare you? I'm offended, you wackos. But think about this. The men in black. Believe it or not believe it? What say ye? They say, Slam, that a lot of these aliens are actually demonic. You see the satanic rituals they perform at CERN. They are on YouTube and don't even hide it. Watch them, demons and naked women. You're not mistaken, brother. Clown world is a satanic agenda and inverted world. Yep. Dave Chappelle went crazy over it. He's probably cloned. JR, I think you're right, brother. I think there are hosts. Humans do host. Shapeshifter's real. I believe it. Subdivisions for 300 Trebek, says Mr. Mega. 70s had great music. Blue Oyster Cult. I can't read that, Brandon. What you talking about? That is the book by Gallagher I'm reading, and while my belief in God is strengthened now after reading the book, my belief in the demon foes has also been solidified. Well, that could take us into why the red pill and the programming is so deep. Could the red pill, or the lack of red pill and the programming that men must be a certain way, be also a programmed response by government? What say ye? MK Ultra into the men of this world? Not just specific targets and specific suspects, but real men? Is the programming so deep that it's transcended television, radio, newspapers, magazines, internet? Which one I would choose, Bookshelf? I'd love to go back to when I was between the years of 8 and 15. Richard Gallagher, and if you get a chance to read that book, I'll check that out, brother. It sounds good. Results, this is the best dream ever. Well, we're tired of talking about the ladies. How about that? The more we uncover it, more questions, probably designed that way on purpose. Sim of life, laying it down to Chinatown. Well said, brother. Saunders has seen some aliens out there. What about the magical seer stones? I think that was made up. Joseph Smith said he used seer stones to translate the Book of Mormon, but we don't know. But he definitely did have an imagination. Bring over demons and use AI as a host. Is AI potentially demonic and alien? The demons in my life have all been women. Laying it down, Trogue. Since 2020, when the clown show went into full effect, I came to Christ and went ultra right. I clearly see the battle between good and evil. I don't think you're mistaken. Mr. Roboto by Styx. Dennis DeYoung. Well said. Good band. Maybe the red pill is created to break up the nuclear family and Russian the Marcos regime. You're not wrong, Mouth. I think that literally, if people talk MK Ultra and all of these mind control programs, that might be a distraction to literally distract 100% of mankind. Think about that. Oh yeah, they just take certain subjects and then they program them based on and then become what the government wants them to do. And these people wake up, they have no idea what they did. But to some form or fashion, most men go through the same thing. We're programmed to be providers and protectors and do all these things. Garbage. Day 99, good to see you. Alien autopsy traumatized me as a kid. Which one? The Roswell one? They're called wives, Father. MK Ultra is real. The CIA figured out how to start a war and lead the resistance. They win every time. Yep. There's a lot. Joe Rogan has a lot of MK Ultra experts on it. Charles Manson said CIA fried his brain. He was part of the experiments too. Sticks come sail away is uplifting. There you go. Jezebel Spirits is slam. Creepy says, have you heard the Christian conspiracy that God left fossils of dinosaurs to fool non-believers or those of weak faith? I have not heard that, but that is quite interesting. Creepy. Feminism is Marxist. They want us to destroy the family unit. You're not wrong there. Wife equals ball and chain. The Exorcism Files, the true stories of demonic possession is another fantastic read. I won't be surprised if AI turns out to be demonic. Do you think AI might be an unidentified object? There's another thing, the dark web. That's nuts too. I tried to have a nuclear family. My ex had other ideas and tons of options. I think there's a programming on the feminine side too. I mean, literally, if you really think about this, you go down the rabbit hole. Could be programming, could be female nature. The government could have a huge stake in all of this as well. Programming women to be a certain way. Programming men to be a certain way. The Matrix, anybody see Enemy of the State? With Gene Hackman and Will Smith? Great movie. About how corrupt and how programming we are and surveillanced we are. Goes down the rabbit hole. Mal says, still not going back. There you go. Shout out to the X-Files. Mulder. Scully and Mulder. Oh, man, I thought Scully was hot for a while. I've been sending you those vids. Yep. And that dude is a prophet, literally deep dives in the origin of feminism, communism, everything going on today. Could it be that all of these isms are a government mind control? Creepy says, SasQUATCH told my girlfriend I thank him every year. And he's laying it down in Chinatown. What about Zero Dark 30? Good movie. Bookshelf, the amount of cameras is insane. Apparently, in England, they're everywhere. Think about Enemy of the State came out in 96, 97, and how much technology they were talking about then. And we're 28 years later. Crazy. Mr. Hemi, good to see you, brother. JR, she was a hottie. think she's total libtard. She might be half Skittles. Divide and conquer. Don't quit persevere. Brandon says Hemi might be a Sasquatch hiding. You know what? That's a great theory, because they say when criminals commit a crime, the best place to hide is in their backyard. Not backyard specifically, but in their town. Don't leave town, just because nobody will be looking for you in the town. We are so deep in programming, which starts right from the childhood. I do not think I would ever be able to come 100% out of the matrix. It's everywhere. That's the thing. And that's why we have to remind ourselves every day that the red pill is not just female. It's 20% female in relationships, but 80% government, religion, education, employment, and everything else. Timmy Kramer, the forever bachelor, is making an appearance. Good to see you, brother. And it really brought surveillance state to light for sure. Fly under the radar, guys. Fly under the radar. That is why this life of minimalism is such a wonderful life. You can have a great life by flying under the radar, being mobile. They keep cutting down the 15-minute city cams in the UK. And the 15-minute cities, you know, where you can live and you don't have to walk farther than 15 minutes, that's all a controlled experience, folks. Hemi is a June Cleaver Sasquatch hybrid. She was pretty hot one mighty and strong. Mr. Sammy is back. Dogman and werewolves and the Chupacabra for 300. What about the Mothman prophecies with Richard Gere? What say ye? I watched that. I was pretty convinced. You men are abusive. How do the 3-letter alphabets have everyone under surveillance, yet there are still serial blanks running around and not caught? It makes no sense unless they are letting them do it. I think they're letting them do it, creepy. It instills fear. And fear says, I need to trust the government. They will protect me. I don't believe Rob O'Neill blank. Too many different accounts. Rumor that he was, I believe, let's talk about it. 6'6" on a dialysis machine, hiding in a cave. Yeah, he's made up. Literally, he's either made up or he was gone a long time ago. And they just kept the account going to spend more money and to extract more taxes to enrich potential big corporations. Timmy says, I tell everyone I'm a broke, bald bastard. You don't need to tell anyone, Timmy. Just look that way. Julian Anderson is a liberal nutjob. Yep. Married multiple times as a carpet muncher. Yep. Huge Democrat, multiple hospitalization. Yep. What does libtardia do to women? Harry and the Hendersons is a classic. Retro is back. Biden is goons, always hiding shit from us, the taxpayers. I don't even think it's him anymore. The cabal. COVID was a testing the water. How many people will comply? I did not get that jabbed. Was horrified to see how many Americans willingly ready to give up their rights. It was an experiment of ultimate in-home prison. Harry and the Hendersons was a great one. What about Richard Gere's hamster story? I read a story in Vice about the guy that started that rumor. It's quite funny. There's an estimate 430 blank currently in the USA. I've heard that like between 400 and 500 that the FBI knows about. Go figure. But they keep that. You think they keep that because they want the fear in the people? Again, fear equals programming, or programming equals fear. Told your coworker about MGTOW. In a good way, bookshelf? I'm going to second that, results-oriented. Now, let's go to this topic real quick. How are some of these musicians that can drink 12 bottles of wine a day for 20 years still walk on the stage and perform? I watched a video of a guy who said he actually made a pact with the devil. Now, to me, it's kind of weird. They wrote his blood in the Church of Satan and did some weird deal. and he felt the satanic presence of him when he did it. He's now a Christian, but he shared his story, which is quite interesting. Is there truth to people making pacts with the devil to live a long ass time and so forth? Do you believe that? Rod Stewart. Yeah, remember, they pumped his stomach because he had a half-gallon worth of blank. But I remember listening to that in junior high, 1982 or 84. Was looking at the Sweden mortality data. It's all fake. There was no spike at all, and people died. What we hear and see and learn in the media is absolutely false. It's the same thing. If a woman says one thing, do not believe her words. Way too much to type, but look into Iran selling the location to a fake bin Laden to Obama for money, then the Dodd deleting the operators. Sure, I don't think that's, yeah. To me, when they said that, all these movies came out, Lone Survivor, what's the other one with Chris Kyle? How could they not find a 6'6" guy on a dialysis machine that needs a specific kidney and liver medication, which pharmacies could track? Just look at it logically. Malach preserves them. There you go. Robert Johnson went down the cross. Now, when people talk about these things, David Icke is probably the biggest one. He's been banned on all sites. I think he's been back re-invited on Elon Musk's Twitter, which is now X. But most people get laughed off and destroyed when they go against the status quo. That's why you got to fly under the radar. Left-right paradigm is enslavement with emotion. Step back and observe the political theater like you're being played. Well said, Slam. In a good way, I told him about you and Hammerhand and a few others, and the next day he told me he looked into it, couldn't believe he hadn't heard of it. That's interesting because most guys will walk away. Armageddon and Lemmy Winks. Slam Cave says, yeah, how's Ozzy? How does Ozzy sing? I mean, there's no way he can sing with him. He has an amazing voice, right? He just did a song with Post Malone. Yes, there's auto-tune in it, but it was still Ozzy. How can he still sing? He can barely walk. I feel like Alex Jones, when he talks about different dimension, yet was also able to predict blank, makes me think we must be onto something. Yeah, I mean, everybody laughed at Alex Jones and Ron Paul back in the day. And guess what? They were right. I'm not going to read that, Stephen, but I'm reading it. You would know. There's things that happen that we don't know that are covered up. Remember, distraction is the number one tool religion, government, education uses against people to distract your consciousness. Women use it too. Well, it's not a stream tonight about ladies. It's a stream about the paranormal, things that are going on behind the scenes, things our government might know or might not know. Mr. Hemi, black magic has been practiced for so long. There was to be something to it. The devil's greatest trick was convincing the world he doesn't exist. Well said, brother. But Ozzy is still alive. There, exactly. And he is fried, but how does he sing? How does he remember the words of his songs? Bob Dylan, I could see him doing that mouth. He made a pact with the Diablo, Lucifer. Everything Alex Jones said turns out to be true. He is the real American, but nothing can stop the death of the West. Women suffrage with the last nail in the column. And he just went through a divorce. So you guarantee he might be watching some red pill channels. Hollywood and the media, predictive programming. Yeah, look at the movies that come out. There's no reason that a lot of there's rom-coms that come out 3 or 4 at a time. There's Civil War movies that come out 3 or 4 at a time. There's military movies that come out 3 or 4 at a time. Something is weird. Wayfair cabinets, Brandon, be careful with that. InfoWars is officially shut down. I thought they kept it open. Rad, you're familiar with the Mormon non-LDS Kingston and Salt Lake, who have hundreds of millions of dollars businesses? Yes. Didn't they go to Canada to continue their polygamy? I can't wait to see Trump cook Biden in tomorrow's debate. The lefty is going to defend Crooked Joe with more lies. I'm looking forward to that, guys. That's why I'm not doing a stream tomorrow. Satanism or Wiccan practice was a way for someone to justify as a person commuting with nature. That's how these Memphis 3 wanted to paint themselves as. Oh, the Memphis 3. There you go. Timothy, back in the house from SoCal. How about this? When I was younger, I watched the Brady Bunch. Remember when they went to Hawaii and they went to the Tiki Caves and it was haunted and they had spells put on them and somebody almost drowned and in the waves? Remember the Tiki? And with the torches, they're walking through the caves. Think about that. Think about the programming or the demonic capabilities of the Tiki torches. What about, that was the Brady Bunch. What about the Goonies? Okay. Fun movies, but what's to them? There's something to these movies. Ozzy is gone. You like the first 6 Black Sabbath? I like a lot of his solo stuff too. Alex Jones is on a second wife who was an Asian. His first wife was surprisingly an executive PETA. Yeah, I mean, he's been through the grinder. You think a guy that lost half of everything. If not, he lost everything. They're going to drug the hell out of Biden. He would be yelling for no reason. No one would know what he's angry at. They're going to juice him up, Betty, or it's going to be a clone. I have heard that theory that he's Bill Hicks, but it can't happen because Bill and Alex will not be this unless, he was cloned off or shape-shifted because the ages don't match up. Bill Hicks would have to have been like 8 years old when Alex Jones was born. But, you never know. Brady Bunch was a widow marrying a widower. That doesn't happen. Well said. And blending families. Look up Michelle Lamy. She's a French witch fashion designer that celebrities hang with. Interesting. Could be. I mean, the Bible talks about demons, but, you got to go back to the Bible with the Council of Nicaea and Constantine. Well said. Any women wife material. We got to find Timmy a wife. He's getting old. He needs a lady in his life so he's not single and lonely. No, you don't need that. Looking back after being red pilled, 99% of my favorite movies are filled with blue pilled ideology and way more feminism than I remember. There you go. Think about this. What about the Jamaican women that used the little push, the voodoo? They prick the people, they cast spells on people. What say ye about casting spells? They were some weird chicks, seances with dead spirits and orgies. Yep. Rad, Megadeth, Mudvayne, and That Remains playing in Denver. Well, Mudvayne, Scotty Sides loves Mudvayne. Look up celebrities covering one eye signs and symbols rule the world. You could say that about the Masons, right? They have a lot of signs in their philosophy. She had that funky haircut. I don't need no lady. I was in the Navy with a guy whose father was a writer for the Brady Bunch. He was effed in the head. Hollywood is weird, man. I don't think Hollywood's run by men. I think it's run by Lucifer. Did anyone see that TV show called Lucifer? I think that's how Lucifer is. Every time something bad happened in that Brady Bunch, that eerie music would play like, do, yep. Well said, one mighty. Timothy, are you going to believe in your uncle or love? He's joking. One thing for sure, government has definitely demonstrated they cannot be trusted. The left is insane and must be shut down with their agenda. And we need to get rid of the rhinos. Bible's red-pilled. West decline was set when they gave up Christianity. Well, I'm heartbroken to see my favorite civilization decline, but they called it. Yeah, I mean, this has been foreshadowed, right? Go read Ezekiel in the Old Testament. There's aliens in that book. They describe weird creatures in Ezekiel. True blood Hollywood lifestyles, corrupt infidelity, indefinitely. Yep. Voodoo is Haiti. That's right. Jamaican is witchcraft. Sorry. I was close. Actually, it was Dominican. Dominican and Haiti are on the same island. Florence Henderson was banging one of the Brady kids. She was pretty hot back in the day. I probably would have pulled a Greg Brady on her. They were funny as hell. Yeah, and the dad was homo. Crossroads. I remember Crossroads. But that's reality. I mean, like SasQUATCH, Phoenix Lights, Paranormal, then the programming, Men in Black. I mean, they make fun of these movies. Harry and the Hendersons, Ghostbusters, Men in Black, Mothman Prophecies. I mean, they try to make it act like, I mean, Mothman was more serious about, you know, what happened in New Jersey. Was it New Jersey that happened where that damn bridge fell apart? But think about it. Why make movies making fun of this stuff? Are they trying to lessen the impact, but they know it's real? It's possible to be red-pilled in many ways in life, but marriage and cohab are the fast track. Well said, brother. We can make fun of leftists all the time, but in my 40 years of life, I've seen them winning. Conservatives have lost. Yeah, sure. It's the programming. What do they say today? 38% of women between the ages of 18 and 30 identify as Skittles or have tendency of Skittles. When I grew up, it was like 6%, if not less. Bobby Brady turned trans. Did he really? I don't think he did. I think he lives out here. Mike, what's his Mike Lookinland? He owns a tile business. Maybe somebody else did. Fire in the Sky, great song. Marsha. Marsha was hot. Marsha was the chick on Dawn from Gilligan's Island. Was it Dawn? Cindy Brady. Cindy Brady did not age very well. The Man with No Name says the Santeria stuff is real. Good to have you, brother. The Sixth Sense. There's another good movie. What about some of the movies of M. Night Shyamalan? Why do they make movies and make fun of them? Like Harry and the Hendersons, like Men in Black, if it's not real. I'm telling you, another form of distraction. Lawnmower Man. Didn't Peter Brady was dating some chick that was like 30 years younger than him from a reality show? Biden just pardoned all the friggin' Skittles vets. Of course he did. They want to make everybody Skittles, guys. Marcia now identifies as Maurice, says Mr. Hemi. Fire in the Sky is an alien movie. It's also an Ozzy song. But what about Poltergeist? What about The Shining? They're giving us clues, I think. The elites tell us that they're going to do what they're going to do to avoid karma. Yeah, you're not mistaken, Mouth. I don't practice Santeria. I don't have a crystal ball. There you go. Whole academia is filled with little baloney, and now it seeps straight into kindergarten. Conservatism is dead and gone. I saw The Watchers too. But that was his daughter that made it, right? Fire in the Sky was about one of the most documented UFO abductions was happening. Oh, I'll have to check it out, Stephen. I keep thinking it's the Ozzy song. I think you're right, JR. He's married to that chick. Fathers go, think about this, alcohol. Why do they call hard liquor spirits? Because when you drink and imbibe an enormous amount of spirits, you invite spirits. You become you shapeshift into a different person. That is why they call it spirits. You guys knew that? California used to be the Golden State until Gavin Lucifer trashed it with poverty illegals, just like Joe did the United States. Retro Shadow, you are 100% right. Well said, bro. Trogue says all the zombie movies. In fact, Coast to Coast did a zombies. That there literally are human zombies. Go look at Kensington Street in Philadelphia with all that fentanyl. They look like zombies. Mysterio says, if one is not woke, what does that mean? Are they racist? I have no idea, brother. But this wokeness is literally a demonic diversion of consciousness. Peter Brady married that America's Next top model. Yes. Wasn't he with? I don't think they're together anymore, but they spent quite a decade or so. Are you saying the new Planet of the Apes or the old one? Let me know how the debate goes. I don't watch debates or people talking and doing nothing. I just want to see Trump lay it down at Chinatown. But there's too many rules now because Potato Joe can't talk. He is weird. Do you guys see that movie Old with that he came out with? I thought that was pretty good. Kept my attention. I saw the top general of the Air Force, Navy, and Army, all trans wearing dresses. Well, they want. I mean, Dave Chappelle went crazy over it. He wouldn't put on a dress. JR says the West Coast is done. Mysterio, great question. Could the aliens be us in the future studying us now? Possibly. I mean, we could be in a video game right now being controlled by our future selves 3,000 miles or 3,000 years ahead. That possibility exists. Absolutely. That we live in a simulated universe or a simulated reality. Mm-hmm. You're not wrong, creepy. Think about this. There's been a lot of TV shows based on a simulated universe. The 13th Floor, The Matrix, The Game with Michael Douglas. I don't know if you guys ever see The Game. Truman Show, Pleasantville. Guys, they're telling us things through entertainment. Pink Floyd. Travis Walton was a forest worker. Him and a team of guys were traveling home from work and saw a light. 7 coworkers saw him sucked into the sky. He was missing for days. I think I heard that story. So that's what Fire in the Sky is. Okay. If troons women are women, why are they called troons? Why don't they take the troons off? Well said, Father. Debate's going to be a dog and pony show. Yep. I love when Proximus Maximus says, it's a beautiful day. On Truman Show? Chappelle is based. I got respect for him more. Is Chappelle real now? I watched this Jim Breward episode. He says he's not the same Dave he knew. Was he cloned? Was he juiced? Well said, One Mighty and Strong. But guys, all these shows are just a potential, beacon for what potentially might transpire. SasQUATCH doesn't vote. Brandon Trueblood. Phone screens and pills equal zombies. Sure. Phones program us too. YouTube programs us. The Truman Show and Idiocracy are basically documentaries. Well said, creepy. No, but dead people vote. They sure do. Lots of dead people voted for Biden. World War Z was about a global blank release, same as I Am Legend. There's another movie, I Am Legend. Right? Independence Day. Is it foreshadowing? Well, my future self controlling me needs some cheat codes because I'm not very good at this game. We're not here to remember. That's the problem. They're advertising the rainbow Skittles on mainstream. Yes, it's everywhere, the programming. And you're a hater if you don't go along with it. Remember, the right became wrong and the wrong became right. My dad said that growing up. Most of these libtard leaders, Newsom, Whitmore, you can literally see the evil aging them and even giving them evil features and looks. They're being influenced or controlled by demons. Gavin Newsom looks like the devil. The way he slicks his hair back, the way he talks, his cadence with his voice. SasQUATCH is a perfect gentleman. Wait till my book comes out. They put a Pride infomercial type kit on Nickel. I mean, again, they're going after everybody, especially the young ones. Timothy says, well, there's an asteroid that's supposed to hit us in 7 years. Why do they have to go after the kids, Stroke? I don't know. SCE, my master wrench is in the house. My birth control glasses are awesome. Actually, these make me look not approachable. You know I'm not a demon. I don't have hair. I don't either. I have been bald. I shaved my head at age 21, 31 years ago. And then Bruce Willis did. Nickelodeon in the 90s, Rugrats, Real Monsters, Angry Beavers, Doug Ruckus, modern life have changed for the worse. He is Pelosi's nephew. Guys, it's like in Europe. Polska says he's going live at 10, which is an hour and 12 minutes. No, it's 12 minutes. I can get behind the whole cloning thing, but in order to create one of the best comedians of all time, you would have to copy his whole life and his experience. Yeah, but maybe there's technology out there that does it. I'm not a believer or a non-believer. It's a possibility, probably highly unlikely. The Skittles is God's promise never to flood the world again. Well said, Brandon. I want a pair. Just Google Senda eyeglasses, S-E-N-D-A. That's the model of it. Everything is predestined and predetermined, and free will is merely an illusion. I agree with that statement. They've already done tons of experiments, Mr. Samuel, on that. Trogue says they're like Charlie Sheen's in Major League. That was a fun movie. Half the military I work with is Skittles. I can't even assume gender because they all look like patsies from the 90s shows. It's sad. It's really sad. Strength has gone out the window. When it comes to debate, Trump is way more entertainment. Just lower our prices and don't go to war. There you go. Timothy, it's only an hour behind. I was in Vegas today, so I was an hour behind. I time traveled in an hour ahead. Go figure. That the civilizations of today are actually built on top of the ancient ones, like we are living on top of buried societies, Tartania. Well, think about this. Go look up the Anunnaki and Thot, T-H-O-T, the Emerald Tablets. Billy Carson talks about it on Joe Rogan, that he wasn't responsible 36,000 years ago for building the pyramids and why they built them. And the remnants of Atlantis that turned into Lemuria or Mu, which apparently is under Shasta. And Mount Shasta in California, Northern California, has some crazy, eerie things going on, paranormal stuff. If you look up Pander, there's a picture of Newsom. Well said, results. I'm with you on that, JR. Marty's back. Glad to see you making more diverse content. We're going to try to do that. The world is a sitcom hell like the Twilight. Remember the Twilight Zone? You know, one of my favorite Twilight Zones is about that prisoner that gets executed, and then he comes back, and he's sitting in front of the judge, who the lifetime before was the bailiff. And then the next life, the bailiff is his attorney, and how that everyone in our lives is just a character that we've known over time. Your kid could have been your father in the past life. Forgot what it did. I'll have to find out the name of that. But Twilight Zone was wonderful. Empty promises. Well said, Mega. Atlantis. Check out Atlantis broke up and formed several different civilizations, one being Lemuria, the Lemurians under Mount Shasta. The mud floods, some say, buried these ancient civilizations below us. I would agree. I mean, they have found melted stones. How did somebody melt stone? They had to have a technology that doesn't exist today. Pandas are black and you white bears. There you go. You should check out Mr. Balance channel. He talks about the strange things going on in the world around us, like weird crime. I'll check that out, Mysteria. Thanks for the tip. There used to be some fine military chicks, some eye candy, but now they're shaved heads and tatted up, overweight, mouthy. Skills are proof that soy will hurt you. Trogue saying it's Groundhog Day. There you go. Sounds like that movie, The One. I remember that. Check out The 13th Floor. Don't get wished to the cornfield Twilight Zone. Yeah. What about Signs? What about Interstellar? Well said, Creepy. It's funny. Remember, everyone said Trump was going to push the button, but Biden's the one that's take us into war. I thought Democrats were loving and compassionate, but now they're controlling, abusive. Sasquatch sells bamboo to the Chinese to feed the pandas. I watched Brandon. I watched a couple YouTube videos where pandas are eating like carrots, and they're just funny. Twilight Zone, Tales from the Dark Side, and Tales from the Crypt. I miss the 90s too. I remember Tales from the Crypt. We were talking about that earlier. In fact, I just listened to a Coast to Coast with David Pilates and Art Bell about 8 years ago in 2015. And I've seen a lot of the 411 videos. Very, very fascinating. People going missing in national parks. There's also the Anunnaki theory that we were seeded by another race. Well said, Turd. That we are supposed to be slaves, mining gold or something. I thought we're all angry incels sitting around and raving about the ladies. We're off script, man. One mighty and strong. We're taking the gray pill. Sasquatch versus Wendigo should be a good matchup. SCE. The one with Jet Li, he tests himself, and every universe gets stronger to become the one. I remember that. I like Jet Li. Saunders, in that cornfield, you can see his bald head. Signs. Outer Limits, another one. Dead Zone. Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, I think you have to keep an open mind. There's something about fascinating. You don't have to believe it, but it is fascinating. Skinwalker Ranch, paranormal. Arizona has weird sightings. The Northern Lights, Canada, national parks, wormholes, Antarctica, programming, missing. Remember the Bermuda Triangle? When I grew up, people were scared of it. The multiverse. There you go, Father. The Bermuda Triangles, and then ships appearing like 100 years later. Jellystone. Yogi Bear. Yeah, Yellowstone is the #1 place where people go missing. And you can't get Freedom of Information Act. They won't allow it. Good. Watch the movie with your kid. My son and I watched all the Rambos, Rockies, and Indiana Jones. Watched them all together. It was great. Dogman versus SasQUATCH. Haven't watched TV in years. Took it to the shooting range for some 12-gauge therapy. Attaboy. I love Orange Man, but worried even if he overcomes the steel, that's not enough changes. I think the programming, Stephen, is so deep. I'm with you. I want to see a chupacabra. What do they say a chupacabra is? A feral goat or a feral wolf? One Mighty and Strong. Beekeeper was a great movie with Jason Statham a couple months ago. Father's out in the corn. He's making his own vodka, guys. Or his own bourbon. Jet Li. What about Brandon Lee that got shot on The Crow? Suspect. With everything going to the gutter from dating to entertainment, I'm glad I'm single and staying that way. Jesus is my way of life. Good for you, Retro. Peace, quiet, and freedom is what we seek. Flat Earth and Hollow Earth. I was listening to a discussion with a flat earther and a globist last night. Say what you will about flat Earth or globe. I think there's value in both of them, but I tend to side with the globe theory. But I also think flat Earth has some themes that are quite fascinating, especially with the lighthouse. Yeah, I like Statham. A lot of his films are the same, but he's badass. Men's Daily's back. Good to see you, brother. Check out his channel. Someone post a link to his channel and go subscribe. Don't be an idiot. He makes some good content. Let's get him over 1,000. Cocaine Bear versus SasQUATCH. I saw Cocaine Bear. And it used the song Bodies by Drowning Pool. There you go. Let the bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor. Chupacabra feeds on goat's blood. Maybe wrong. You might be right. It's like a Mothman, like four-legged creature or something. Cocaine Yeti's coming out soon. Some people in Mexico thought Chupacabra was an alien mutation shapeshifter. It could be just a feral fucking like, what's that damn animal that runs around in Arizona? Helena, and they eat them. Nasty. They're black. They Javelina. Yogi Bear and Boo Boo were our employees of SasQUATCH. He still sucks too. I'm telling you, the SasQUATCH that come down and scare people are knuckleheads. They've been kicked out of the hive. That's my theory. I've been on the open ocean. The horizon is. I think that's right. Yeah. Pure blood, MGTOW, toxic male, and I'm not changing anytime soon. Attaboy. He was funny and crank, but I just like it when he just kicks ass. And Beekeeper, I think, was one of his best films. And The Transporter. One thing I've learned this far in life is that I need to see it with my own eyes to believe it, and I don't believe a word the government says. Here's a dilemma. All of our money, most of the money, we do not store in cash like we did in the 70s and 80s. Well, we still store it in the banks. But think about it. Our money is just ones and zeros on a computer screen. Go think about that for a second. Your money that's deposited every month, you have never seen the physical money. You've seen a check with the numbers, but it's stored as a 1 and a 0. And when you need to withdraw it or send a money payment to somebody or to an institution, it's sent as ones and zeros. So what is money? It's software. The future will be one with human and bear hybrids, grizzle. Bears are better than men, until that woman got eaten. Coyotes, there you go. Man, bear, pigs. Jacob's Ladder was a funky movie. I remember watching it. Man, you got to be high as a kite to watch that. That was whacked. What about Apocalypse Now? Deja vu, I get it every now and again, Mr. Sammy. Glitch in the Matrix. Bring back the gold standard. Unfortunately, I ain't ever coming back, Slam. Bring back the vodka standard. That might be even better. True Blood's been around the world in the Navy with his fellow seamen. Seaman Demons for 300 Trebek. Every time I gave up 500, which isn't often, I withdraw it in cash. The bank is not. I have, you should have a little bit of cash on hand, but think about it. When your money, my money's deposited on a screen, and behind that screen is the GUI. Behind that screen is a green screen full of ones and zeros. My money is literally a software program. And when I need it, I extract it, and it's upgraded every 2 weeks. And then I extract it. It's crazy. Think about how programmed we are to see our money on a 21-inch screen or a little phone or a tablet. Very few. Go to the bank and try to withdraw 50 grand. They don't even have it in their vault. They have to order that money. But it's acting, make believe, pretend play is acting. Stephen from Arizona, double slit. Well, the double slit experiment, quantum physics for 300. We're going to, I've decided that even though we'll talk red pill topics, we're also going to bring in other things that make people excited. Music, physics, paranormal, mind programming. So it's different. It's fun. Apparently, the BRICS countries have settled on the gold standard. Yeah. I've heard only 10% of the world's total currency is in actual circulation. That's so weird to think about. 90% of the money, Sim Life, is sitting on a screen, on a server, probably by a body of water, so it can be cooled, in a co-location center. Best Vietnam films, Apocalypse Now, Thin Red, and Platoon. Yeah. And Full Metal Jacket. I don't know if Full Metal Jacket was Vietnam, but Apocalypse Now, great. It's all a joke, creepy. Ape, Mouth Agape, he got the banana. I've transitioned back to paying with cash results. I have seen companies say that they will not accept cash anymore. Do you understand when you look at your dollar bill, it says this is legal tender at any place of service or product. They have to accept that. No more dog biscuits. Reject technology inside the human body. AI gives me chills. We're headed that way, Slam. I mean, this 40 years ago when Terminator came out, they weren't joking. They weren't joking. Our taxes don't technically go to the government. Our taxes pay the interest for our debt. Absolutely. Full Metal Jacket, Vincent D'Onofrio. He's also in the 13th Floor. I highly recommend watching the 13th Floor. Fiat currency that will be converted to digital, and when we're screwed, piss someone off. No money for you. Well, you didn't tell your lady that you liked her, so we're gonna deduct from your digital currency 30%. Thanks, Church, for being here. Yep. Glad you are here, brother. Our economy is a Ponzi scheme. We can never go back to gold because fractional lending has created far more money than on gold on Earth. Yep. Was it Jimmy? Who was it? Lyndon Johnson or Jimmy Carter? Who took us off the gold standard? I can't remember. Apocalypse Now is based on the novel Heart of Darkness, a novel written by the Congo and Slavery by Joseph Conrad. I think I remember reading about that trope. Yep. I think the Terminator series, I think if one is really thinking about it, we look at it as entertainment, but we should actually be looking at these films as documentaries played by actors. I think that's how we should look at life. China's SIP economy is failing, of course. That's why the red pill is such a superpower. It allows us peace, quiet, and freedom by seeing through the rubble of emotions, mental, physical, spiritual, and financial. We don't need a lot, guys. We do not need a lot. That is programming that says we need all this shit. Nixon, says Brandon. Okay, that's right. Richard Nixon. My Richard Nixon. So you guys are good. It's been late. I was on a flight this morning from Vegas for work. Stayed in the Cosmopolitan. Those wackos. Man, Vegas is... Fremont's the only place I like in Vegas, but I'm tired of that too. That there's more oil under the Colorado Rockies than Arabia, but we can't access it. I wonder why. You buy our debt, we'll buy your oil. Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard, says Men's Daily. George Orwell was 40 years off his prediction, but he still predicted it, right? All these NWOs and trans, they're humanists. They're also giving TED Talks about the wealth. Yeah, how about these guys that want to live forever? No, thanks. Nah. Now they're saying you can remove your consciousness and put it in another body. And they made a movie about it with Johnny Depp. Transcendence. Was it Transcendence? Where he died and put him, he put himself in a computer? Because consciousness is not physical. It's spiritual, right? The consciousness might have, 21 grams? Which is nothing. You put that in a computer. Now they're making technology where you can take your voice for dead people that have passed on, loved ones. You can put your voice in a computer program, and your loved ones can go talk to that computer as if the father or the mother or the brother or the sister is still alive. AI, brothers. First two Terminators were fantastic. I actually like Salvation with Christian Bale. That's it. Don't recognize any of it. Christian Bale, father. He's one of my favorites. Yeah. They sure do capture that future, JR. Oil is not fossil fuel. Remember dinosaurs? Dinosaurs, there was only a finite number of dinosaurs, and it's the blood of the dinosaurs and the decomposition that created oil. Now, oil is a chemical reaction from soil, atmosphere, temperature, you name it. It's the Earth's blood. And there's 500 years of it just in America alone. Saunders, I love Salvation as almost a precursor to Mad Max. Future would be awesome if there was a Skynet V8 interceptor. We should make VR versions of ourselves so our sons and their sons can meet their end. Well, that might, you know what? I bet a company's going to come out with that. Lots of weight to the statement in Pet Cemetery. Sure. Stephen King, the Supreme Court ruled that the government can direct the censorship of the tech platforms today. We're all screwed, brothers. And they are censoring they are watching all of this. I guess I will make a VR video of myself when I make it to Granddad Shinobi. JR says Shinobi, Star Wars was hologram. Think about this. I grew up, and obviously Star Trek came out in the 60s, so I saw the reruns, but still, beam me up, Scotty. They had AI back then. Guys, every science fiction show is a documentary. Every time there's a Chupacabra film, a Men in Black, that is a documentary. Why would somebody make a movie on something so stupid as they made up Men in Black? I don't believe they're made up. I'm not going to read that mouth, but that's funny. You guys all pick on Jared. He's a good dude. They live it, and I know you're joking. They live is based. Our overlords want us to be happy slaves. Any dystopian future will look normal to the surface, but with massive censorship and control. The only way to remove yourself is to not play the game, is to not be in the programming. Don't have mortgages. Don't have car notes. Don't have debt. Have the ability to move and be flexible, to disappear, to not be tied to anything. I saw that. That was with The Pale Blue Eye. I saw it on Netflix when it came out last year. He was the artist of Edgar Allan Poe, right? That was a great movie. Good call, Win Mighty. I've got the first two, Pet Sematary, and the new ones. That one is a prequel with young Judd. Mm-hmm. Don't believe the hype, says Megatron. Well said. I thought we'd be living in the movie Back to the Future, some sci-fi thing, but really we're living in idiocracy. Shinobi, you're not mistaken, brother. The cell phone is inspired by Star Trek. Yep. SCE says the government can outright censor you, but they use corporations to act as proxies. I believe that Facebook is a government entity, and I think YouTube is too. They Live was one of the best sci-fi films that's mostly been forgotten. I got to check that out, creepy. But like, this has been a great stream. I'm going to start doing some streams that go over fun stuff, different stuff that's not normal, and go from there. But you guys have been great. I'm going to check out all of your, your, what's the word? Suggestions and tips tonight on something to watch and read. This has been a great show. Just listening to your guys' opinions is great as well. They Live in The Thing. I love The Thing. I think there's value in all that. One Mighty, I remember that. Remember Sgt. Pepper's talked about that. Apparently there's a grave on the front page of that album that's supposed to be Paul McCartney, that he died. You never know. You never know. I mean, Joe Biden, they say there's 3 of them running around. You never know. Steven, it's 100% proven and documented fake book was a DARPA. Yeah, I'm telling you, there's something where, how does a kid in Harvard do all of this, build this gigantic business, know how to capture programming and technology? He's a nerd. He doesn't want to sit in the short chair. All right, one more. All social media companies are PSYOP programs managed by embedded agent within all platforms. Well said, brother. You guys have been great. We'll see you on the next stream. Catch Polskas now. We're out. See you tomorrow.